This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
Hey, I'm your host, Jason
How are
Glick.
you doing, Jason Glick?
I'm good, John, and yourself?
Oh, not too bad. What do you have on tap for us tonight?
Okay, well, I've got Dan Slott's latest Spider event. It's like, and basically latest thing in this ongoing campaign to basically put his mark on all aspects of the character's history. That would be the Amazing Spider-Man: The Clone Conspiracy. And God knows that when you bring up Spider-Man and clones, there's a certain amount of the fan base that just rolls their eyes and goes, "Oh God, not this again." Now, if you're not that part of the fan base, then good. But well, I guess a bit of education is in order then, because it all started back in the '90s when Marvel was going through one of their periodic things about how can we make Spider-Man it's like like new and fresh and interesting again. And so then they decided to go back to an old storyline from the '70s where Spider-Man was cloned, and and then the clone died, and that was it. But then they said, what if the clone that died was actually like like if it wasn't like if the clone that died. Sorry, I'm getting confused right here. Basically, what if the clone didn't die and he actually survived, and it was actually we've been reading about the Peter Parker we've been reading about was actually the clone, and the real Peter Parker had been living years. It's like as another character named Ben Riley. It's like, and if you hear this and you think, oh God, that just sounds terrible. Well, Marvel ran with it for a lot longer than anyone wanted them to, because for a while their sales were going up, and they went with this new clone idea and the introduction of the Scarlet Spider character, and and then eventually it was revealed that, hey, it's like this, that Peter Parker was the clone, and this new guy Ben Riley was the brand new spectacular Spider-Man. So, but it's like, because fanboys, like they are like they hate change like nothing else, and also just the idea that that the Spider-Man they've been reading about for years was fake. Well, now that did not sit well with them, like in any event. And to be honest, it's like it's like when you're tampering with the formula for Spider-Man, like to that extent. I mean, that's just a terrible idea. I mean, yeah, it's like you can do all sorts of crazy things with Peter Parker as Spider-Man, but it's always gonna be Peter Parker doing this. I mean, like the current status quo basically has him running his own company, like basically, and we're venturing into pseudo Iron Man territory right here. But at the same time, though, it's like Slott still managed to like make this Peter Parker like clearly recognizably the character that we've been reading about for years. It just that now he's just a businessman, and he's applying his same mindset to running a company, and I think it's worked really well for these for the first four volumes of this latest iteration. It's like business with region coming back excluded. So, but it's like, but the Clone Saga was like a huge black mark on Spider-Man during the '90s, and they just basically Marvel has kind of been trying to claw their way back from it almost ever since. So, but so when like the latest event is called the Clone Conspiracy, it's like, oh God, like Slott's like really trying to it's like I'm stretch things here. But it's like after all these years he's been writing Spider-Man, I've like I've learned to trust Slott with the stuff that he wants to do, and even if he's and even if like some of the crazier things he's done, like the whole Superior Spider-Man arc, it's like it's always been with the idea of just like just taking the status quo just right out of whack, but also just swerve it right back in at the end. So when you got this clone conspiracy thing coming, where basically all it's been foreshadowed in Amazing Spider-Man for the last year or so, where let's see, where like the loved ones from various members of Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery and his supporting cast, including J. Jonah Jameson's wife, have been brought back to life. So, you're wondering, like, okay, well, this isn't just like a spur of the moment event. Slott has clearly put some thought into what he's doing right here, and overall, it's like I probably would have enjoyed this more if it hadn't been positioned as a ginormous Spider event, because it's, I don't know. On one hand, it's fine as a it's like as like the next major arc in, it's like in Slot's run, but as a big event, I don't know. It's like it kind of lacks the epic feeling that Spider-Verse had from a couple of years back. I mean, that one was, like when you're throwing in every Spider-Man ever, that's an event right there. And but this one, it's like, and there's a lot. I mean, mind you, there's a lot of changes right here. I mean, um we get the Doctor Octopus is brought back. We get holy crap, we get Ben Reilly back. It's like in continuity and in a much different role than you'd expect, because while he was basically going to be he was basically he's a clone of Peter, so he's basically got his Peter's good natured mindset, but at the same time those Slot Man indicates throws in a huge tragic tragic trauma that been experienced after dying way back at the end of the original 90s Clone Saga, to basically explain why he's angry and crazy now, which is actually one of the better parts of this story, but I'll get back to it in a second. But the storyline basically kicks off with a bit of recap, basically showing you how Jay Jameson, Aunt May's husband, and J. Jonah Jameson's dad, has died, all because Peter wouldn't authorize the this company called New You to give them an experiment, allow them to do an experimental treatment that would have hopefully saved his life. But the thing is, though, it's they managed to save the life of one of the employees of Parker Industries. When Peter went to shake his employee's hand after this treatment had undergone, his spider sense went off like nothing else. And so while he knows that New You is up to something bad, he can't exactly put his finger on it. Well, as it turns out, New You is basically running a very sophisticated cloning operation, masterminded by one of Spider-Man's old foes, the Jackal, back in a new getup, and also in a emphatically non-evil approach. I mean, he says he basically through the build-up over the past couple of volumes and in this arc, he's basically telling Peter and everyone that hey, you know what, we're not the bad guys here. It's and hey, I want to bring Peter on this normally. It's I want to so. Naturally, I mean, I don't want to force his hand on anything, but it's one of those things where it's hey, it's just the fact that you're saying you're not the bad guy. Well, that's really kind of a dead giveaway right there. But he's also basically gone and done everything he can in order to bring Spider-Man or Peter on his side. So basically, he's brought back Gwen Stacy from the dead. He's brought back all the old villains who've died while Spider-Man has faced them in the line of duty. It's basically absolving all the blood on his hands. And in his big moment where he tries to sell Peter on the rightness of what he's doing, he basically says, I can bring back Uncle Ben, make everything right for you. Comparing this to Spider-Verse, which was flawed in the sense that it had some really generic bad guys propping up a story that had some really clever and inspired moments. The Clone Conspiracy has a a decent enough bad guy, but at the same time though, the moment he flips to grade A villainy, it just kind of feels more dictated by the plot rather than a natural progression. It's the moment when Peter calls him on what he's doing, using a very understandable way to do this. I mean, yeah, I understand, but at the same time, though, the fact that it's like he would just go, "Okay, I'm a bad guy now." It's like that just feels really, it's like just plot driven rather than character driven. But also, there aren't really a lot of like really memorable moments here compared to say Spider-Verse. I mean, like bringing like when like having Peter like get a chance to talk things over with Gwen Stacy, it should have been a like a defining moment, but at the same time though it feels just kind of pro forma for the most part. I mean, it's like I don't know. It's like for me, it's like I was born decades after. I mean, I was not decades after. I was born like a decade after Gwen Stacy died, and when I grew up, all I knew was that Mary Jane was Spider-Man's OTP. So I mean, like to have her bring her back, yeah, I get what she meant right there, but to have her like get a chance to hash things out with Spider-Man, it doesn't have quite the emotion that I think Slott was banking on. Considering that I'm sure he's like much he's been a fan of Spider-Man for a lot longer than I have, to be sure. But it's like but overall, I mean, like the story itself plays out well enough. I mean, it's that there's some interesting twists involving Spider Gwen, the return of Kane. It's like and everything, and overall, like there's some interesting setups for subsequent stories. To be honest, like I'm actually kind of interested in reading the new Scarlet Spider series that's going to focus on Ben Reilly's adventures in the Marvel Universe from Peter David and Mark Bagley, because it's basically kind of like what if Spider-Man was a complete nut job, and I'm kind of crazy. So I'm really the teaser they included here in this hardcover was actually pretty clever, and it's like and the setup for the next arc, which basically has Spider-Man going after Norman Osborn, and it's going to be illustrated by Stuart Immonen, so it's going to look great. But so yeah, it's like it's this the story itself is fine, but as a big Spider event, it's kind of like, it's like I've read better, I've read worse. I mean, if you're reading Slott's on Spider-Man's stuff, then go ahead and pick it up. To be honest, I wouldn't quite recommend picking it up in the hardcover edition, because it not only does it reprint some stuff from the previous Amazing Spider-Man volume, the extra stuff they put in in this volume, basically the tie-in issues from Silk and Prowler, are really just filler for the most part. I mean, yeah, with Silk you get to find out just what happened to the original Spider Woman, or one of the older Spider Women, Maddie Jameson, J. Jonah Jameson's, he adopted or foster? I can't remember. Anyway, like you find out what she was up to during the crossover, and that's okay. And Prowler, well, that was the stuff focusing on Hobie was decent enough, and it's basically just like him just angsting about his past as a villain and trying to make things right while working with the Jackal. It's like after he was killed and revived by him. It's like it's like, to be honest, like if I hadn't read this as part of the hardcover, it's like big hardcover collection, I probably wouldn't have bothered otherwise, because I mean, it's just like I said, it's an okay story. I'm glad I got it for I guess for part of this, because it's probably not worth paying for it on its own merits. And it's also worth noting that while that the people putting together the hardcover acknowledge the fact that hey, that you should be able to read the entire series in a chronological order. But they couldn't do that because Slott didn't write it that way. That's kind of disappointing, and it's like, and it kind of makes me. It's especially when you consider that like Jonathan Hickman, and when he did Infinity, like they were able to piece pieced together everything in a nice, appropriate reading order for that series, and that shows you like the thought that he put into that. With Clone Conspiracy, Slott kind of he doesn't really pull off the same kind of like intricately plotted story right here. I mean, the Clone Conspiracy single issues like basically tell like the core story, and the Amazing Spider-Man tie-ins basically flesh in like what happens between issues or between scenes in it's like in the main miniseries. And then you've got the Clone Conspiracy Omega, which basically just is kind of like an epilogue to the like to the main story while setting up future stories at the same time. I will say that the art from in the Clone Conspiracy main series from Jim Chung was pretty impressive. It's also kind of impressive that Chung was able to mostly keep the series running on time. It's like as opposed to like some of the stuff he's done previously, and it's got a nice detailed crosshatched like appearance. And there's some really impressive like splash pages like the double page when the Jackal reveals all the villains he's brought back to like for Spider-Man, like showing him like, hey, there's no longer any blood on your hands because I brought all these guys back, ha ha ha. It's like and they use that as the inside cover for the it's like for the hardcover, and that's a very impressive shot. There's lots of great stuff here, and also the assist from Corey Smith, like in issue 4, is also impressive in the sense that he was able to mesh his style pretty well with Chung, so it's not really all that distracting. It's like when he takes over. So and also this is going to be Giuseppe Camuncoli's last major contribution to Spider-Man, like with the tie-in issues to Amazing, and I'll be sad to see him go because he had a great handle on the character, and I like the action and tons of action. It's like an energy that he brought to the series. Now he's going to be taking on the new Darth Vader series. It's like with Charles Soule, so I wish him all the best right there. So overall, it's like the art it's like in the series is good, but as far as picking up this hardcover. I guess if you're kind of a Spider completist, then sure, but you really only need the Clone Conspiracy and the Amazing Spider-Man volumes. Like the tie-in issues, the Silk and Prowler, they're not essential to the main story. So it's like if you can find those two volumes like for sale cheaper than the $60 hardcover that's being sold right now, then by all means, go and pick that up instead of this. But like I said, overall, it's like Clone Conspiracy, not a bad story, but not up to the big epic event that I was expecting. If they had pitched it as just the next just like a major storyline in the pages of Amazing Spider-Man, I probably would have been more amenable to it. Kind of like how they did it with Spider-Verse. Anyway, well, John, any thoughts on your end about all this?
So where does that? I don't know if you mentioned this in the beginning and I missed it, but where does this fit in?
Oh, this is basically the in the current Amazing this is basically like the fifth major fifth volume of Amazing Spider-Man for lack of a better term. It's basically picks up from what Slott was doing with the worldwide. It's like with Peter running Parker Industries. It's like and basically finding out that there's this company that's that basically able to do some revolutionary medical technology that's able to save people on the brink of death, but at the same time though it's like they're still kind of shady, and their work sets off the spider sense.
That's right. So. And now I remember. Okay. Yes. I don't. Is this series well received so far? I'm not entirely sure. Do you know?
Some people I know there's a lot of people who are bitching about the fact that like Peter is currently in like Tony Stark territory, just running his own company and all. But I don't know. It's like I honestly don't care because it means like it's basically like the next extension of what Dan Slott has been doing for years with the character. So it's kind of like hey, if he wants to do an arc where like we see Peter, it's like like as a like as a jet setting CEO, I'm fine with that. I mean, it's not like he's changed Peter's character in order to make that happen. It's just like just showing like how the character is responding to being in a new it's like in a it's like in a new setup. Even though it's like I've heard word that it's like that they maybe Marvel's trying to get back to a meat and potatoes approach, basically getting all their characters back in a it's like in classic incarnations, to the point where it's like where you've got basically Miles Morales serving as like the teenage Spider-Man like in the Marvel universe, and and that doesn't conflict with Peter as the jet-setting CEO, corporate superhero. They are going to try, and it sounds like they are going to try and get Peter back to being the hard luck character we know and are familiar with. And there are steps taken to that end, like in the story as well, because something happens with Parker Industries tech that allows them to save the day, but also sounds like it's going to ruin the company in the process. So yeah, it's like some people have issues with Peter's current status quo. I'm not one of them, but it still sounds like we're going to get Slott and Marvel are going to be moving the character back to the familiar hard luck approach that the character has been known for years.
Okay. Do you know what you're going to be talking about next week?
Okay, next time is the final volume of Revival by Tim Seeley and Mike Norton. It's like the rural noir about a town where the dead come back to life. It's like after one day. It's like in the year. It's something I've been reading for years now, and now the final volume is here. I'm going to go back and reread the entire thing to see how the series holds together in the end.
All right. We'll catch you next time on Comic Picks by the Glick.
All right, laters.